the way you ask that, it's like, well, do you even trust me?
Okay, but do you put yourself in my shoes and see how it may look from an outsider coming into your home when you said you've not had a woman in your house for years, in this house ever, and then I see a woman thing?
This review could have been a text message. It really could, because there was no need for them to, spend a whole hour on that, because it doesn't make sense. Really, it doesn't make sense. I'm happy for Rachel. I really am, because she's finally getting what she wanted. This is the man she wanted, and she's really sort of been patient with him and allowed him to grow, and is grown into the man that she wants. Amazing. With Stella and Philip, I didn't understand why the friends were there. I really didn't understand why her friends were there. At the end of the day, I think production brought them to be messy, but I think Stella sort of corralled them and was able to sort of contain them. And then Gia and Scott should have written leave. For people who are bragging about being the strongest couple and suddenly things are unraveling around them doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. The fact that this man is afraid to speak to the woman that he claims they are a power couple with, I am pleasantly confused. But anyway, hey there, thanks for stopping by to go, Valerie. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Married at First Sight Australia, Season 13, Episode 30. So we start off with homestays, and the homestays, it's an insight, or people are going to see the place that they hope to move to when they sort of leave the experiment. So it's not like everyone is going to their partner's house and seeing their partner's house. No, if the two of you decide we're going to live in Adelaide after we get married, that's where, after the experiment, this is where you're going. And so first up, we had Philip and Stella. Philip and Stella, obviously, Stella said she's not willing to move. She wants him to move in with her. So he has to make the sacrifices. So he seems open to that. He seems dedicated to his wife and committed to her, and so wants to move and make her happy. And so I can't wait to see what happens with the two of them. Gia and Scott was messy, because Gia was saying, she is in this space whereby they've been struggling, and they're in a space whereby they want to make things work. Scott on his part is saying that, I don't want the drama. I really don't want the drama. So I want to see whether after the experience she's going to be as dramatic as she was in the experiment. Gia is bragging and saying that I'm a nurse, I'm someone who's kind, compassionate, and empathetic, so I'm never going to do anything. And it's like, girl, the way you've treated people, the way you've spoken to people is the reason why you are in the space that you're in. And so the audacity to say that, oh, I'm a nice person because I'm a nurse, no, that's not a justifiable reason. That really is not. If you knew you were a nurse, and if you knew you're compassionate and empathetic, well, she's not a nurse per se, she's a nurse assistant, I think. If she knew she was that, she should have been kinder, and she should have been more sort of focused on what she said and what she did in the experiment. Her reflections, well, her reactions and her actions haven't shown that. So I don't get why she thinks, she can get on this high horse and start preaching to us about being a nurse. On his part, Scott is still, rattled, because he feels some type of way. He feels like, he doesn't want drama. His wife is bringing them drama all the time. So I don't get it. You have Danny and Beck. Danny and Beck are still in this space whereby they are trying to get over whatever issues they have. Beck is still upset at the idea that this man didn't shout out to say, I love you, and he didn't scream that, she's his girlfriend for a reason. So I am side-eyeing them, because at the end of the day, they are another couple that should have written leave. They should have left a long time ago. There was no need for them to stay in this experience, because they are not working. They are on a merry-go-round, and it never seems to stop. Every time you think they've overcome something, something else comes up. So the idea that they're sort of questioning their marriage, I think they should have been allowed to leave the experiment. If not, the producers or the experts should have told them to leave. Chris and Sam, they are in different apartments. They both are in their feelings, because at the end of the day, they feel like they were not heard. Chris is saying he's had a moment to reflect, and he's decided that he came here because he needs to grow and he needs a husband. Do I think so? No. I think he's had a reflection, or he's spoken to someone who's told him that this might give you a negative edit, so try and work on it and pretend. Maybe producers told him to do that, but otherwise I don't think he's genuine. Sam on his part is still conflicted, because he feels like his husband is not listening to him. So irregardless of what's going on around them, he will never sort of have peace until that is addressed. So everybody went home, and surprisingly, product placement on MAFS Australia is is at its peak. So you had Rachel and Stevo obviously stop for a KFC, and it's like good for them. First up, we have Gia and Scott. They went to Scott's apartment because they will be moving in with Scott once the experiment ends. And from the moment she walked in, Gia said she was going to be nitpicky and she was going to find fault. She was extra hypercritical. I think she didn't want to stay in this house. She wants the house that she has dreamed of, and so she's going to do and say anything within her power to try and sort of be off-putting and make sure that this man finds fault in his own space. I loved the apartment. It was a manly apartment. It wasn't filthy. At least you could still see the floor. You could see the counters. Somebody had made an effort to clean the place. So I don't get why she kept nitpicking. Oh, it's untidy. Oh, this, that, and the other. And she actually said, I'm looking for faults with this place. And it's like, make it make sense. Really make it make sense. You were telling us you're kind, compassionate, and empathetic because you work in the nursing field. And yet that went out the door the moment you shut your mouth on that. I don't get it. On his part, I think Scott should have had the cojones to stand up for himself, because he was saying, I would never walk into a house and say anything negative. I would walk into a house and I would praise it. So the idea that she's being hypercritical, I don't understand. And it's like, well, tell her. Rachel and Stephen, they went and they stayed at his parents' house. So Rachel was very excited. The thing with Rachel is she's content with whatever she gets. It seems the bare minimum is enough to satisfy her. She's not going to fight or argue over anything. Whatever he gives her, she's willing to compromise and accept that, which is really sad that, how can you be at zero? You need to have a standard or things that you want from a relationship so that this man doesn't walk all over you. He took her fishing. She was excited. They caught a fish. I don't think they caught the fish. I think what happened is production bought the fish, put it in the water, and then pretended like she had caught a fish, because that fish wasn't where, sort of flinging itself about. So I think it was already gone by the time they sort of took it out. Gia and Scott then sat down for a conversation where she complained about the size of the house. She complained that the walk-in closet, although it was massive, they could have split that in two. She felt it wasn't sufficient for her because apparently she has, I think she said she's got 2 wardrobes and she's got a room for her makeup and stuff. And it's like, girl, please, what you do for a living. Maybe it's because it's Australia. I don't think you'd earn enough to sort of fulfill those dreams or whatever you're trying to sell to us. So the idea that you're saying that this is the lifestyle that you lead. Okay, if that works for you, amazing. We love it. She'd come across a pink pillow and she wasn't happy that there was this pink pillow in the apartment. She started being hypercritical, criticizing her husband to say that you told me that no woman had been in your apartment, so why do you have this pillow here? And it's like, oh my God, it's not that big a deal. It really is not that deep. Maybe, somebody bought it for him. Maybe he was traveling. There was no masculine colors and he just needed a pillow at the airport and he just bought the color that was available. It didn't need to go that far. It didn't need to be that deep enough for them to sit down and start having negotiations. I didn't like it. Then we had Phillip and Stella. Phillip and Stella met up with their friends, Joe and I think the other one is Layla. And for me, the friends just give mean vibes. They do. Because at the end of the day, at the wedding, they gave Phillip such a hard time. They were dragging him through the mud for saying he was a YouTuber. And it's like, well, that's how he supplements his income. Why are you being critical? You can, create your own YouTube channel. You don't need a lot to have a YouTube channel. So I don't get why you're being hypercritical of him. And so the conversation started. And I think on her part, Stella must have spoken to them. She must have told them, I really like this guy. Yes, you're coming, but you need to be on your best behavior. They were asked, how is the relationship going? Stella on her part said she's very happy. He gives her reassurance. He comforts her. He makes her happy. And so they were then asked to score their relationship out of 100. Stella said hers is 100 over 100. That's because Phillip has been giving her everything she needs. But he is another one who's walking on eggshells and is afraid to ask his wife for what she needs in case he triggers her. And that's the impression that I get. When it came to Phillip's part, he said he's 75 out of 100. And he said, it's because I need security. I need reassurance. And these are things I'm not yet getting in my relationship. So until I get that, I can't say we are at 100%. And it's like, well, if that's what you want, amazing. We love it for you. You had Rachel and Stevo. They sat down with his mom and his brother. And Stevo was really trying, the PDA, he was really trying his best to give as much PDA as he could. But I don't know whether he's doing it because he feels it or he's doing it because he knows this is what his family wanted to see. They did have a conversation. Obviously, the brother wanted to find out what's happening after the wedding or after the experiment. Where are they moving to? Apparently, they're going to be moving to live where Stevo stays because Rachel was saying his career, it's a bit difficult for him to move, whereas for her, it's easy for her to move. And so the brother was right to say, I don't want Rachel to make all the sacrifices for Stevo. And it makes sense because if she comes down and things don't work out, then she will have lost out on a lot just to make this man happy. He needs to make certain sacrifices for her as well to make sure that she feels like she's appreciated and she's valued and she's reassured. They both were happy. Their families were happy. They complimented on the PDA and said they loved that there was a lot of PDA, which I thought was, hey, good for you. If it works, amazing. Then we had disaster station because we had Gia and Scott go and meet up with Scott's friends. And this is where the cracks were actually visible and were like big craters. Because the friends can see through Gia's BS. They know that she's always bluffing or she always wants to come up as top dog. And so I love that they're able to call her out on it. So when they were asking them, you had, Gia say, oh, the plan is for us to move. We'll get a 4-bedroom house. And, we will need to move as soon as we finish the experiment because I need to find a place for school for my daughter and blah. And it's like, why are you running away? Why are you running? Is your rent due? Is your lease due? Why do you need to leave the experiment with him and immediately move in with him? And I get where the friends are coming from because there's no hurry. There's no need for them to change schools immediately. There's no need for them to move in together immediately, given the issues that are there in their relationship. And I think the friends could sense that Scott was very tense. This is why they pulled him aside. And he eventually said, my problem is I worried that I might trigger her. So I'm trying to do everything within my power to make sure that I don't trigger her. And it's like, what sort of marriage is this if you're constantly worrying about triggering somebody else? Make it make sense. What sort of marriage is this? I don't get it. The friends did try and give him some constructive feedback. And it's like, it's a waste of time because Stella gave him constructive feedback and he couldn't take it to his wife because he was afraid about how she would react. So the idea that somebody else is giving him feedback, I think it's a waste of time. Yet Stella and Philip go on a date, and I love that on this date they were able to address the issues that they have, because obviously Stella was in her head because she had said 100 out of 100 and Philip had said 75 out of 100. So I love that he sat her down and explained to her that I am someone who is very logical in my thinking, so there are certain things that I need to know how they're going to work out first before I can say I'm 100%. Obviously, I need to know that I'll be able to have a career. I'll need to know that I'll be able to provide for you and the family and stuff. So it makes sense. It really makes sense. And I love that he was able to use his words to articulate himself. And she was patient and receptive enough to understand what he was saying before she sort of chimed in. And I think Philip is the best person for Stella because he's able to soften her heart because she can be a bit tense with it, and he actually appreciated the fact that she was willing to listen and sort of understand where he was coming from, which I really love. I think they're a great couple and I can't see them actually working. Yet Stevo and Rachel go on a date where he said he wanted to tell her about his emotions. He wanted to tell her how he feels. I think his family told him that you need to do that. I think Stevo, I don't know whether it's lack of maturity, emotional intelligence, or lack of experience. Something is off with Stevo. I think his family are having to direct him to do a lot of things, and I don't know whether it's because he's not attracted to his wife, he lacks experience, or I really don't know what it is. Rachel was excited when she was told these feelings are growing. I didn't hear him say I love you, but I think this is what he was implying. Whether production sort of cut it out or not, I did not get it. The way she rushed over for a kiss and a hug, at least they're not as awkward as they were at the start. That's all I can say about Rachel and Stephen. You then had Scott, and finally after his meet up with his friends, he sat down with Gia and said, she asked him, are you in love yet? He said, no, I'm still falling. My only issue is the drama. I hate the drama that follows us everywhere we go. Gia was triggered by this. And it's like, why are you triggered? You are over theatric. You are after being an influencer. This is why you want a storyline that you can sell after the show. Because it doesn't make sense how one person can continue to be the drama all the time. Why do you need to be the drama? Why can't you just sit back and allow everybody else to be and do whatever they want? I didn't get it, and I didn't understand why they were clashing. On his part, Scott was saying, I feel too much pressure because there are certain things that you want. His friends had told him that she is pressuring you into making choices and decisions that are not necessary. And so I love that he was able to express himself and tell her about what was going on. For Gia to be upset about the pillow and saying, you make me look bad, Gia knows what buzzwords to use to get what she wants. She does know the buzzwords because she did at the start. As soon as they went to the apartment and she saw where he left. I think his house is even bigger than hers, if I remember very well from the audition tapes. I can't wait to see what happens next. Thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Click on the link in my video to watch my review from episode 29. Bye guys.